Well, yay, that's just a lovely parts box. Now let's see what was in this parts box. Oh, hey, those 3-point arms that I had messed up and barely got home with. We'll take a look, compare the old to the new. Get really up close here. Now I didn't dig all the grease and dirt and rust out of the old rod. But the new one's nice and shiny, good threads. But right here, it looks like the rod had spent a lot of time in these threads in the old cast piece. And I debated on whether I needed both pieces, but I figured since this section was so rough, how thin the threads had rusted, it's better to go new. And unfortunately, they're aftermarket. I don't know, I would like to think original equipment, is its original equipment. So it had to go aftermarket. It wasn't going to go used because I was afraid I'd run into something similar to what I had. Similar issues. So went with aftermarket because it was so much cheaper than original equipment, and only this large cast piece was available through CNH, and these two pieces together cost less than this with a Fiat sticker on it. So I don't know, I mean, you think of like most automotive manufacturers, or automotive parts, not the manufacturers. You go to whatever auto parts store, a lot of them are aftermarket. You don't walk in and, I guess you could buy Motorcraft or Mopar parts or go to the dealer. The automotive market is different though, because there's so many more cars and vehicles that the aftermarket's going to make quality parts. For the tractors, like some of these old tractors, they're 40 years old, and you wonder, are you getting good-looking parts or functional parts? And by good-looking parts, I mean, the restoration quality make it look good, but are they going to offer the same functionality as the OEM parts? That's my worries, just because there's a smaller market on some of that stuff. Before we go to the tractor, I'm going to sort of assemble these two pieces. I'm going to put some white lithium grease, all weather, all temperature, guards against rust. And we've got a lot of rust, and unfortunately this hole right there is where water can get in. And this hole down here is just a drain hole. So we'll take some of our white lithium grease, and we'll rub it on, and we'll rub, and we'll rub, and make it goes together real easy. But we were going to hopefully use this as more of a preservative, so it'll last a good long time. Another 40 years plus. Wow, I had this apart. I took it apart to investigate. We were just disking. So I had hooked up some chain just to hold it. Didn't lift anything. But if all else failed, we had some really heavy crane chain. Like, I don't even know how to describe the size of the links. I wouldn't say they're 1 inch, at least a good 3/4. And we've used it in a pinch before when we've broken one of these lift arms on the Hydro 84 way back when. But that was a long time ago. That was right after we got the tractor. Because for some dumb reason, somebody had started to cut the pin that held the lift arm under your rocker arm up here. What in the world, guys? Why? And of course it broke when we had the silage chopper on it, the old 3.707. Okay, chain out of the way. And that's about as tight as that gets. Got a little bushing in there, and a roll pin to keep it from coming out this side, and a roll pin holds the bushing in. I thought about trying to take that apart, but I couldn't get the roll pin to move. And I decided, why do I have to take that apart? Now I over-assembled this. So we have to twist this out. Lots of twisting, and then we'll stick it back in. I might as well put this in the bottom. One thing I'm worried about. Okay, it fits. I guess the old one was worn that much, I could almost see the difference in the hole size. Stick that in. There's a flat side to keep that pin from turning, which I don't understand. I almost had to press down on it. There's a little bit of extra metal below the hole. Stick our cotter pin in. Oh yeah, it's going to rub some paint off. Good job, guys. Now the real fun part is when we do the top. I got to get everything stuck on here and greasy. This piece goes on, kind of a yoke almost. Watch fingers, and there's a locking collar, which I gotta take the jam nut out and slide it up on. That went on so much easier, I had to kind of take a hammer and beat this thing off. I guess we can look down in here, find our divot for alignment. I guess there's two options. You can really make the 3-point float if you wanted to. I guess I don't want to make the 3-point float that much. So when we put this on, we gotta have a little finger sticking to the back, so our adjustment handle sits to the back. This has some rather interesting nuts, or some bolts, with little pins in the end. I'll pull one out. A really coarse thread, a little pin, because they had to put the adjustment right through the center of the yoke. I wouldn't say that's the strongest idea. It hasn't failed me yet, but in my limited engineering knowledge, that wouldn't have been my first choice on how to set this up. I gotta put this thing in at an angle. Let's see if I can turn these in by hand. That's gonna be the only problem. That back one, yeah, this one is easy to get to, but the one, I guess, more on towards the front side of the tractor, it hits our rocker arm. Got our handy dandy giant ratchet. The back one I gotta kind of two-hand. I took this part, I didn't realize that I had to take these bolts all the way out. That I could just thread them out enough so they're not crossing the plane of the inner yoke. You see we're started in. These are a hard thread, which is probably a good thing. Like, I wonder if they used more of a pipe thread versus a standard bolt thread, just to hold them in. You don't want them falling out, obviously. So something to create a little extra friction. Okay, ready for that tightening stroke. And just kind of let things jam together up there. Guess I shouldn't use the chunk of pipe I had to use to get it loose. They weren't rusted, really. I mean, the threads look brown. Arr. Okay, how that tight. Now the lift and thread it all back together thing. There's probably so many better ways to do this. There we go. Okay, we got it started. Okay, now a lot of twisting to get it in there. Probably gonna put the handle back on. It'll twist easy enough with the handle. I had a pipe wrench back here because these have probably been set in their ways for a long time. Well, I'm gonna get a bolt for the handle, and then I'll see you guys with all the twisting. I bent cotter pin, and I found a bolt to put through the twisting knob. I know, a roll pin would have been nice. However, I don't know if we have an extensive roll pin supply. And usually once this is set, it doesn't get adjusted, but once and never. Handy dandy wrench and vice grip to tighten this up. I did go with a locking nut, an eye lock, to keep it from ever coming apart, so it doesn't have to be super tight. That way the handle can move around nicely. So now we'll see just how easy this was from the factory to turn it. But it's not in a very good leverage position because the handle is so high. It's very easy if you pull on the wrong side to get it to like flip back at you. Yes, there you go. I wasn't even trying to do that. And we're twisting and we're twisting. And eventually we got an eyeball based on the other side. You know how much space? About 3 fingers from that lock ring there. So it's pretty far in. And we're watching it come up. Now we're just going to see how equal these are. Looks like we do need to come up more. Let's see, 3 fingers. I go a half turn long or half turn short. And we eyeball. I'd almost say this side is higher. I don't know why. I'm just guessing. We'll find out the first time we hook things up. So we'll make it 1 turn longer. Still that's a wide 3 fingers. And I'm kind of looking back. I'm looking across them, but I'm also looking back at these 2 points. Well, I guess I could get out a measuring tape and actually measure something, but it's more fun to eyeball. I almost feel like it's a half turn off. Like I'm not going to be satisfied until I take the pin out and spin it half a turn to make it match exactly the way I want it. I adjusted the positioning of the handle. I changed it 180 degrees. So it's a half turn off from where it was. I feel much better about how level the arms look compared to each other. They're fairly level. Same number of turns. And it dawned on me they didn't make a left and a right for these arms here. That, you know, they're both the same way. The grease zerks go the same way. The notches for this little lock collar guy are on the same side. So they're not, you know, mirror images left and right. It's unidirectional, which makes sense because when I had the handle the opposite direction, 180 degrees off, at the locking collar, the jam bolt here is facing the tire. I can't remember which way it was going before, but you know, it makes sense that they wouldn't necessarily have to make a left and a right for this part. Well, we'll see you later. Happy farming, happy fixing, and hopefully you guys have good luck finding good new parts. So who needs some workout weights? I got 7 pounds and 15. Well, put them on the scrap pile. Eventually, you can see how many anhydrous knives we've gone through, and a shank already this season.